Hello, 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 hello. Oh my gosh, I have not been live in so long, so long. I kind of abandoned YouTube for a little bit. Your girl has been busy. If you know, you know. I have been busy. But I wanted to come on and talk about the DEARRA and Ken lawsuit because I think there are so many lessons to be learned from this situation that we need to discuss. So if you are in having a little afternoon lunch, you just happen to be stopping by, you saw this live and you like, what is she about to talk about? Well, we are going to get into it. We're going to talk about how I slick think Dearra fumbled her own bag. This may be an unpopular opinion. I get it. I get it. I get it. But I'm going to talk to you guys about how a few things. Number one, we're going to go through the lawsuit and what I think some of the main issues are. Then we're going to talk about if you are in a couple's relationship or you are thinking about starting a couple's channel or anything of the sorts, how you can go about protecting your assets and protecting yourself. Because to a certain extent, I'm a little disappointed in Dearra because she has an entire cousin who is a lawyer who understands, the business side of things. And I'm just a little bit surprised and shocked that she found herself in this situation. And I get it. Love is blind. It'll take over your mind. And what you think is love is truly not. You need to elevate and find. I get it. Love can be blinded. And sometimes as women, we do let our love for the man that we're dealing with cloud our judgment, make us make hasty decisions. I get it. It's a legit plausible thing that happens. So not too hard on my girl Dearra, but I do want to talk about some of the things that Ken said, some of the points that he made, because I do think he might have a little bit of a defense. Hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. So one of the things that Dearra is trying to sue him for is breach of fiduciary duty. She's also going after him for breach of contract, and she's also saying he misappropriated funds. So these are three major issues that not only have civil consequences, but could potentially have legal consequences. But I really want to get to the nitty gritty of, could there be legal consequences for what Ken Walker did? Is he legally liable for stealing money? The first thing we need to cover is, and this is strictly based on what the lawsuit said, it appears that they opened up a business account under the name DK4L LLC. And at the time of that business, Dearra can put her money, whatever money she had earned as an independent influencer prior to getting into a relationship with Ken, that money was hers. She made what's called the initial capital injection. Now, you guys are probably like, girl, what you talking about? What's an initial capital injection? So when you start a business, there needs to be funding for that business to start, right? You have to cover operating costs. You have to cover payroll. You have to cover your own salary. There needs to be capital. If you're selling a product, the money you invest in order to purchase your initial run of product would be considered a capital investment or capital injection. So, and this is where I got questions for Dearra's cousin. And maybe these questions are going to be answered when a lawsuit come out. So I'm not trying to be too critical because you never know, right? We're only reading kind of like a summary of the issue. But when you think about that initial capital investment, if it 100% came from Dearra, right, then the ownership structure of DK4L LLC should have reflected Dearra as the sole contributor of capital, and her shares, meaning, say for round numbers, every company has 100 shares. There could be more shares if you file a C Corp. But for the sake of a simple argument, let's say a company has 100 shares. If Dearra contributed all of the initial capital, then you would think theoretically that Dearra would have, let's say, 80 or 90% of the shares. And Ken, even though he's owner still, would only have 10% of the shares. Now, maybe she's like, no, this is my day one, A1, we about to go up. I don't want to do that. I'm okay with putting the initial capital injection, but at the same time, I want to give him more equity into the DK4L brand. In that situation, she could have made herself the 55% owner, 60% owner, and made Ken 40% owner, or 60% of the shares are Dearra's, 40% of the shares are Ken. By creating a structure like this, she automatically protects herself as being what you call the major shareholder of the company, right? She could have made herself the managing member of DK4L, which means Ken could not open up a bank account without DEARRA's permission. Ken could not extend himself credit without DEARRA's permission. Ken could not withdraw money from the account without DEARRA's permission. There are a number of protections that come from setting your business relationship up the right way up front. A good complement to that is what you would call an operating agreement or a partnership agreement. These are two very important documents that anybody who's trying to run a major brand needs to have. So let's break that down. What is a operating agreement? An operating agreement is essentially a legally binding document that is executed by members of an LLC, right, of a limited liability company, in which they specifically articulate who has the power to do what in the company. This power includes getting into credit arrangements. It includes signing checks. It includes withdrawing money. It includes who's in charge of paying bills versus who's in charge of just maybe doing marketing. It separates duties of the owners of the company. And this separation of duties is critically important when you are trying to go into business with anyone, and would have prevented, in my opinion, the situation that DEARRA and Ken are in now, where DEARRA is essentially saying, hold up, bro, they don't love you like I love you because I held you down and I let you take money from the account that I was not closely monitoring. Now, how do we protect ourselves when we are not closely monitoring our account? With the inclusion of a CFO. There is absolutely no circumstances or no reason why DEARRA and Ken should have been running their business without a chief financial officer, an operations manager, especially at the level that they were at. When you're talking about having $500,000 in average ledger balances in your account, think about that, guys. Multiply that times 12, right? If they have $500,000 when they quote unquote dissolved, if you were to annualize that, they have about $6 million, right? $500,000 a month times 12 months. That's about $6 million in income flowing through that account on an annual basis. When you have reached beyond a small business to what I would consider to be an enterprise, at that point, you need to have an enterprise infrastructure. You and Ken should not be running your business like a small business when you are a whole major enterprise. And if they had those controls in place, and these are the arguments I think Ken will make. Ken's going to walk into court and he's going to say, hold up, we didn't have an operating agreement, right? At least we don't think they did, because if they did, I would imagine DEARRA would have put in the lawsuit, he breached the terms of the operating agreement, which outlines see Exhibit A, and the operating agreement would have been attached saying you have no duty to do this. And then DEARRA would be suing the banks too, right? Because if you, for example, banked with Bank of America, and Bank of America was allowing Ken to hi everybody, and Bank of America was allowing Ken to withdraw funds from that account in breach of the operating agreement, Bank of America would also be liable. And the fact that she's not naming co-defendants, right, co-conspirators with Ken, lets me know that they didn't have a proper infrastructure to begin with. So if Ken's going to walk into court and he's going to say, hold up, bro, we had a joint account. We did not have an operating agreement. We had absolutely no delineation of responsibilities. I was 50% owner. She was 50% owner, and we were jointly and equally entitled to that money. And under no circumstances did we agree or say that one person could not withdraw funds from the account without the explicit permission of the other person. That is a very real possibility for Ken. That is a very real possibility for him. And if that becomes the situation, this could become a very contentious legal battle, and really points to why it is incredibly important to have your business affairs in order. Everyone is friends on day one. Everyone is friends on day one. You like, we about to go up. We about to start a business. It's about to be boom, bam, flippity flam. And then there's a problem. There's a dissolution of the relationship. And now you are screwed two ways to Sunday because you didn't put your affairs in orders up front. So the first thing I want my ladies, if you are in this live, God sent you here for a reason. Maybe you're an aspiring entrepreneur. You already are an entrepreneur. You thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. God put you in this life for a reason. The first thing I want you to do is make sure that if you are the person putting all the money into the company up front, then your ownership reflects same. Your ownership needs to reflect that equity injection, because the judge has no way of knowing, unless you are an immaculate receipt keeper. The judge has no way of knowing that you were the initial investor in a company, right? There needs to be a stock certificate. There needs to be, hey, here's my stock certificate. These are my shares. I bought them, right? The judge has no way of knowing that. Yeah, and banks only keep bank records for 7 years. And it looks like they started this business in 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, so maybe the bank has some bank records that she can go and request to say, hey, look, let's pull this bank statement and see that the initial wire, the initial ACH, the initial, check that was went into the account was in my name only. But then the judge could say, then Ken could be like, well, yeah, the money came from her account, but I gave her that money on the side. I cash apped her, right? Or I Zelled her, or anything. Or, that wasn't her money. She got a loan from somebody else. How we prove that was her money to begin with? All kinds of speculative things could come into play at that point. So now you got to chase down a paper trail to prove that you were the sole equity investor, when it's so much easier if it's spelled out up front with a stock issue certificate and with a shareholders agreement or an operating agreement like that. That is business 101. Like, don't do it. I don't care how cool you are with your homegirl, your homeboy, your boyfriend, your baby daddy, your husband. No to the no. This one, I'm a big proponent of prenups. I'm already married, been married for a long time, long before I had anything for my husband to take. So whatever I got, whatever he got, we jointly earned together. So that's kind of water under the bridge at this point. But if God forbid my husband and I did not work out, there is a 0.00000000000 repeating chance that I would get into another marriage without a prenuptial agreement. There's zero situation, because you have your best bargaining power, your best negotiating power, and your best leverage when you guys are happy. When you're happy, you have the most leverage in the relationship. And typically when you're negotiating a prenup, they're trying to get married, you're trying to get married, right? It's not much to be arguing about. So just get yourself a prenup. So first things first, business structure, minus 10 points to DEARRA and her cousin if they did not have those affairs in order. So minuses, she's starting out with negative 10 points. And Ken has an advantage here, because if he could say, listen, I was 50% owner, there was no operating agreement, there was nothing stopping me from taking this money. That's like having a joint account with your boyfriend or your husband right now. My husband could literally go out right now and take all the money out of our personal checking account, and there wouldn't be diddly do that I could do about it in the bank. The bank gonna look at me crazy. Well, y'all got a joint account. That's his money. The same way as your money. I don't need his permission. He don't need my permission. If you don't know how joint accounts work, that's how it works. So minus 10 to DEARRA and her cousin, plus 10 to Ken when it comes to stealing money. It's going to be very hard to prove he stole it. Very hard to prove he stole it. That's number one. Now let's move on to the car. Another big issue in the lawsuit was the car. Now, Ken said, now I don't know how accurate this is, because granted, we only get one side of the story. So take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. This will come out in court. And which it may not even come out in court, because it would be in Ken and DEARRA's best interest to settle this outside of court and come to a formal agreement. That's probably what DEARRA wants. She wants to go to arbitration or mediation, come to an agreement, have that agreement be enforced by the court. And if he doesn't abide by the agreement, she has the legal authority to garnish his wages. That's her long-term plan. And that's probably how it's going to go. I doubt we're going to get much tea out of this. But in the event that it does go trial by jury demand, they're going to say, okay, let's talk about the car. Now, according to what Ken said, you have DEARRA saying this Tesla is worth $43,000. And you have Ken saying that the Tesla was secured by a $43,000 cash loan. Now, where we need to talk about the source of the collateral. When you have a loan backed by cash, which is what they had, the source of the collateral is cash. The cash most likely came from their business account, because the business probably is the owner of the Tesla. Which is why when they broke up, it wasn't like, oh, this Ken car or this DEARRA car. It was DK4L LLC's car. And it was a cash secured car, which is the right way to run your business, right? It should be in your business name. It's tax benefits to put it in your business name. It's a smart business move. Kudos to both of them for having the foresight and wherewithal to do that. However, think about it. If the Tesla is worth $43,000 and Ken in that cash loan was $40,000, that means the asset value, cash plus collateral, is $80,000. We are not dividing $40,000. We are dividing $80,000. The value of the vehicle plus the value of the cash, $80,000. If Dearra kept the car, $40,000, and Ken kept cash, $40,000, then that asset was divided equally, minus points to Dearra. Ken don't owe you a thing on that, unless the facts of the lawsuit are not articulated the way that I think they are. But based on what she said, he was going to sign a title over me to the Tesla. When the bank released the $40,000 back to us, he was going to give me half the money. Well, then that wouldn't make sense, because if the asset is 40 and the loan is, if the cash is 40, that's 80,000. If Kim was going to give her 60 and he was only going to keep 20, right? Because she's getting the vehicle plus the cash, he would only keep 20. Then technically that's not a 50-50 split of assets. That means it's not a 50-50 split of, that's 25%, right? So I don't know. We're going to find out. The details will come out. But from what I'm hearing, I'm like, that sounds fair to me. Now, in terms of him taking cash out of the account and the cousin saying, well, you're going to report that cash as personal income. I want to explain this to you all, because a lot of people was like, oh, he's stealing. I'm on live books. A lot of people were like, oh, he's stealing. And he can't be doing that. And oh my God, he's stealing from the account. Well, again, that points back to my original point. Did they have an operating agreement? Was he in breach of contract, which would be that operating agreement to say he had no authority to spend money any which way he did? And if that's not the case, then he didn't steal the money. And yes, he would have to report it as personal income, because it's called a distribution. So let's talk about what a distribution is. If your business makes money, there is two ways that you can pay yourself. And I am behooved as to why Dearra and Ken were not on payroll for DK4L. This is how you prevent such things from happening. It's by putting yourself on payroll, which means payment would be run which means payment would be run through a company like ADP or Paychecks or similar, right? And how does this protect a company? Well, when you put yourself on payroll, there are controls, meaning you are issued a paycheck every 2 weeks, like anybody else who works a 9 to 5. And anything you take in excess of that payroll check would be considered a distribution. So what is a distribution? A distribution can be done in two ways, right? The first way, and this is what, I don't know if they didn't have a business manager, because if I was their business manager, this is what I would have told them to do. This is what they should have did. They didn't do it, but they should have did this. Instead of letting Ken take that money as cash and say, okay, you're going to pay personal distribution. You know, you took the money from the account. You're going to take it as a distribution. It'll pass through your K-1. You guys might not know what that is, but it's a form that you get that you would submit to the IRS, almost like a W-2 for businesses. It would pass through your K-1, and that K-1 income would then be reported as Schedule E income, right? Pass-through income on your personal tax return. That is exactly how it should be done. That is exactly what Ken should have did. That sounds like what Ken did, and that was the right thing to do. I'm being real with you guys. That is the right thing to do. If he paid taxes on that money, then he legally distributed it from the business, DK4L. That's his money. He paid the taxes on it. That is correct. Instead, what Dearra should have done, if she had a business manager running this operation, and this is no criticism to Dearra, please don't take it this way, because a lot of Black people don't know this. A lot of Black people don't think to hire a CPA. A lot of people don't think to hire a business manager. A lot of people don't think to hire lawyers. A lot of people don't think of these things. And I know that that's an issue in the Black community. And I am faulting no one. They were young. They were trying to figure it out. This is no fault of their own. I just want to educate you all so that this never happens to you in the event that it could happen. What Dearra should have did, instead of getting a promissory note or a promise to pay or an IOU or any of the sorts, Dearra should have had her cousin draft up a legal contract that says that Ken took, instead of a distribution, he took what's called a shareholder loan. A shareholder loan, that he could have still took the money, right? He already got the money. It doesn't mean he got to put the money back and take it out again a different way. No, you create a shareholder loan, which means you draft up a document between the business DK4L LLC and Ken Walker that says Ken Walker took a shareholder loan, which is the money he took. I'm going to make up a number, $100,000, $80,000. I think that's what the number was. Ken Walker took $80,000 as a loan from DK4L LLC. Ken wouldn't pay taxes on that because you don't pay taxes on loans. For example, if you go out right now to Wells Fargo and take out a loan, right, for $10,000 for a personal loan, you wouldn't pay taxes on that income because loans are not considered income. They're not. You pay interest on loans. So you don't pay taxes on things you pay interest on. So that's what he could have did. They could have drafted up DK4L is loaning Ken Walker $80,000 at an interest rate of 3% amortized over 60 months with minimum payments due of P&I of $5,000 a month for the next 60 months, making those numbers up. Here's how Dearra could have protected herself by simply giving him a shareholder loan. Number one, she has a legal document that she can enforce and default him on and act as a collections agent, meaning DK4L could have hired a collections company to collect on a defaulted debt had Ken not given her money back. Now his wages could be garnished. She could put a lien against any assets he acquires in the future. She could have destroyed his credit. I mean, she could have really took him to town. Well, not her personally, but DK4L, right? DK4L could have taken him to town. That is a better way. And you could have done that and maybe not dissolve the company, right? You could have a company that just exists but is not generating revenue. As long as you continue to pay your annual report fee or annual filing fee with the state of Georgia or whatever county they are in, you don't have to generate revenue to keep an LLC active. It could have been active with zero income or zero revenue. So, and still have a loan on the books. Put that man on a loan, not no promissory note between me and you. Those things are civil and they're hard to enforce. Had she had it with the business, it would have probably been a superior court issue, meaning a business has a debt over $30,000, over $25,000. That's a superior court issue. Now we're in court and now I can put a lien on your assets. You could do this civilly too, but I think it would be a lot harder. It gets a lot more complicated. I think doing it business-wise is a little bit easier and could have really put some stank on the situation. But they didn't do that. That would have been a better option, in my opinion, because people get real funny with money. People get funny with money. So you're saying you think that Ken may have covered himself. To be honest, oh, hey, Pure. Hey, everybody. To be honest, I think unless Dearra has a smoking gun, and maybe she does, because obviously we're not getting all the tea, right? We're only getting an abbreviated version of what the situation. We're not getting all the tea. We're not getting all the tea. So maybe Dearra has a smoking gun that she that's really gonna help her win this case. And if that's the case, then of course she's gonna win it, and he's gonna have to give her this money back. But just based on the surface of what I'm hearing and what I'm reading, I'm concerned. I could be wrong. Definitely could be wrong, but I'm concerned because it doesn't seem like the proper infrastructure was in place to begin with. And that's how women get taken advantage of. That's how women get taken advantage of. That's how anyone can get taken advantage of. You think you're in love with someone and they're outsmarting you and you don't even know it. Love is blind. You're blindly getting into business with people and it's scary. You don't know who these people are going to turn out to be. And honestly, there could have been a clause in their operating agreement, which I highly recommend. One of the things that Dearra put in the lawsuit, or Dearra's cousin, whoever wrote that lawsuit, one of the things they put in the lawsuit was Ken devalued the brand by cheating. Ken got caught in so many scandals, he devalued the brand. Well, in order to prove that, there's a few things at play here. Number one, there could have been a clause put into the partnership agreement or operating agreement that says any acts, defaming the brand publicly, cheating, almost like a prenup, cheating, being caught in inappropriate situation is considered, it's considered, oh, dang, I'm drawing blank on the word, but it's basically, I'm trying to say it's considered to devalue the brand, but in a way that creates financial punitive damages. So say, for example, any event that Ken did any of these horrible things, that would irretrievably give Dearra the right to buy back his shares of DK4L or he would forfeit shares of DK4L and she would become the sole owner. You need to have consequences. When you're in a relationship and you decide to form a joint business together, you are no longer a boyfriend and girlfriend. You guys are business partners, and you're like a business partner. Yeah, I like you, I love you, I care about you, but you are a business partner. And if you are not acting in the interest of this business, there needs to be financial repercussions of same. Meaning you forfeit your shares. You embarrass me, you go out and cheat, you make it so that I can't collect no money. Well, guess what? You have forfeited your shares accordingly. And all of that means she could have became the sole owner of DK4L or bought him out. Or it could have said, any event that there is a cheating scandal, the offending party forfeits shares proportionate of their equitable value, right? At a par value of, let's say, for example, they could have established a par value up front. Let's say the par value is $1,000 a share. I'm gonna make that number up. Ken owned 33 shares, 33% of the company, equivalent to 33 shares. Guess what? She could have bought Ken out of DK4L for $33,000. Boom, bam, thank you, ma'am. Bye. Boom, bam, thank you, ma'am, bye. And he would have been bought out. He would have either A, had to prove that he did not cheat in court, or B, he would have been bought out for $33,000 and she would have kept it moving with everything. And guess what? When you give people financial consequences for their behavior, real financial consequences, people get real careful about embarrassing you. Because you know what? Instead of embarrassing her, instead of cheating on her, instead of playing her for a fool, he would have been sitting down, coming to her and saying, listen, we need to renegotiate the terms of our operating agreement because I'm having thoughts and my thoughts are leading me down a dangerous path. And I want to renegotiate the terms of the operating agreement. I want to take that clause out, or I want to amicably end our relationship, but continue to be business partners, almost like we're on a TV show. Meaning we're still going to film content. It's not going to be couples content like, oh, we're in love, but we're going to film content on other topics like how to build a brand, right? How to market to YouTube, like come up with a new strategy for the business versus no consequences, because people think different when they know it's on the line. That real bread is on the line. But Ken knew bread wasn't on the line. He knew it wasn't on the line. He knew there wasn't a proper infrastructure, and he had the passwords to everything. Absolutely not. Listen, ladies, if you are running a business with anybody, family, friend, coworker, anybody, never, ever, 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 ever have one person have access to the account passwords. No, you should have a CFO or a business manager, and they, an independent third party, they're the one who write the checks. They're the one who pay the bills. And you know what you hire? You hire an accountant or a third party auditor to audit the books every single month to make sure that this business manager or CFO isn't robbing you. You have an auditor on the back end. So yeah, every month we would go to what's called a reconciliation meeting. So it'll be me, Ken, my business manager, my CPA, my accountant, my attorney, whoever. Y'all have a little tribunal. Y'all get in a room and y'all reconcile the bank statement. Okay, line by line. This bill was paid. This bill was paid. This is due. This is due. This is whatever, line by line. And that way it creates financial transparency for the business. It creates a sense of safety for the business. It makes sure that y'all not robbing each other or being robbed by a third party. It helps you to identify payments that may not have come in that you need to go chase down. It's so beneficial. You would never be in this situation had you had a CFO or a business manager. You wouldn't be in this situation. And that's what the judge is going to be saying. The judge is going to be saying, wait a second, y'all were running a $6 million business and nobody hired a business manager. Why? I'll wait, because y'all had the money too. Y'all had people on payroll. They said they had people on payroll, that bills that needed to be paid. So why wasn't someone reconciling the bank statement? Why did it take you a year to realize money was being missing? How do we know that you didn't authorize him to take those withdrawals from the account? I mean, I hope Dearra got a smoking gun. Like, hey, Ken, about that 5 bands you took in November of 2018, what was good? And he wrote back, yeah, girl, I was down bad. I stole everything. You know, he basically saying he had medical bills to pay. That entitles him to a distribution as a business owner. It does, guys. I hate to say this, but legally it entitles him to distribute money from the business account if he had medical bills to pay as a business owner. That is his company. That's his company. It's not illegal to take money from your business that you own. It's not illegal. There's nothing illegal about it. I hate to say it, but unless they had an operating agreement that he breached or some other stuff, it's very hard to prove. It's very hard to prove. If it's hard to prove. And then once you bring it to the courts, what happens if Ken go get a lawyer and now he wants to do some forensic accounting? And now they start doing forensic accounting and realize that both of y'all have been underreporting y'all taxes, or that both of y'all have been claiming meals and entertainment expense that you shouldn't have been claiming in the IRS tax code. Or now y'all both in tax trouble because now when they start really digging and looking, they realize, wait a second, you didn't qualify for Section 179 depreciation, or you didn't qualify for meal entertainment at 50%, or this wasn't a qualified business expense. Why did you write this off? It could get real ugly for both of them real quick over, in my opinion. And I don't know Dearra's finances. I'm really only going off social media. So please take this with a grain of salt, because people could look like they rich, popping, locking, and dropping on social media, and they could be struggling real bad financially. But I'm going to assume that Dearra's doing very well for herself based off what I see. She's a very, very, very strong businesswoman. She has excellent marketing ideas. She is giving what it was supposed to have gave. And if that's the case, is this worth the headache? Is this worth the headache? For $100,000, that does not seem to be worth the headache of the exposure you're going to give to yourself, right? Financial exposure you're going to put on yourself, the bank statement, all of that's going to get submitted to the court in discovery. You can't just say something and the judge going to take it as fact. You have to provide proof. So now your personal financial record, that's a small amount of money. I agree. Your personal financial records are now going to become public information. And yeah, it'll get redacted. A portion of it will get redacted, like your account numbers and stuff like that. But the details, the decision, the consent orders, the motions, all of that is public record. For what? You're about to have all of social media, the Shaderoom, Neighborhood Talk, any and everybody, the Voice of the People, Destiny, what's this other one? Royalty Reacts, all the good people out there literally putting your business on Front Street. On Front Street. Over $100,000 seems very petty. That seems very petty. It's a trivial amount of money in the grand scheme of things, in my opinion. It's a trivial amount of money for a millionaire. I mean, Dearra appears to be a millionaire. I'll be hard pressed to say that she isn't. Now, if she's doing this for principle, then you have to ask, what's the motivation, right? Because it could have been done a long time ago, right? If you discovered that this man had robbed you and he put a promissory note out there, he defaulted on the terms of the promissory note, he never paid the taxes that were due, he did all of these things that is alleged in this lawsuit. The question becomes, why now? Like, why didn't you take action in the past? Because if he didn't pay taxes that were due in 2020, right? It's 2024, right? He been owed you that money. So why now? And then Ken may say it's because she's upset. She's upset that I created a new YouTube channel or a YouTube channel and added my girlfriend to it. I'm trying to start a new couples channel. She's upset about that. And now, this is more of a personal issue than it is a professional one. And I know that sounds crazy, but why? Why? I hope that's not the case, because, that's crazy. And then also the Snapchat. If Dearra and Ken were both running that Snapchat and Ken could show, because, you could subpoena Snapchat for login records. I don't know if people know this, but if you watch the Young Thug trial, then you can subpoena social media companies for login records, story posts, everything. Like you can literally subpoena them for everything. So if Ken decides to go and subpoena Snapchat for login information on the Snapchat channel to say what IP address, what device was logging into Snapchat from this period to this period, and he can prove that he was 50% operating Snapchat like she was 50% operating Snapchat based on login device, then he can say, I'm entitled to 50% of all prior earnings and current earnings of that Snapchat channel. What's stopping him from saying that? Because I think they're saying that Dearra took over the Snapchat. I don't know. I'm going. This is hearsay. This is a hearsay statement. just a hearsay statement. I don't know. I don't follow them that closely to know the details of that. But in the court order, they did not say anything about Snapchat. But I was listening to a live for Royalty Reacts. I believe that's her name. And she was basically saying that Dearra took over the Snapchat because Ken took over Facebook because Dearra took over the Snapchat. So Snapchat is making a lot of money, a lot of money. And if that Snapchat channel was equally owned by both parties or operated by both parties, then maybe an argument could be made, maybe not. I don't know. I have no idea about these. I didn't even watch their channel for real when they were out. I came into their channel when it was really just Dearra. I never got it. I was never into Dearra and Ken. I was like, not my thing. But I like Dearra on her own. I really like her channel. I think she's a boss. I think she's a great businesswoman, very accomplished. She's a total role model for young Black girls and even older Black girls. So definitely no shade to Dearra, but I'm just trying to speak objectively about the situation, Yeah, I think it will get ugly, Vicky. I think it's going to get extremely ugly, and I don't think it's financially worth it for either one of them. Because once you start damaging someone's reputation, and especially because Dearra introduced the topic of cheating as an action, as a cause of action, right? She introduced that as a cause of action. So now Ken can defend himself against that allegation. He could say that she emotionally withdrew from the relationship. Yeah, it wasn't physical, but it was emotional. She stopped having relations with him. She stopped, emotional abandonment, right? Versus sexual abandonment. Now we're getting into their dirty laundry, right? He come up and he's like, look at these text messages. She was emotionally abusive to me. And now he's submitting text messages, evidence of Dearra saying, F you, right? Now we're in their business. Like, look at the Young Thug trial. We could be in their business. I don't think that's right. I don't want to be in a business like that. I wouldn't be in a business like that. I really don't care to be in a business like that, but somebody on the internet will be. Somebody on the internet will be in their business for real. And do you want your personal private text messages out there? Because physical cheating, spiritual cheating, emotional cheating, psychological cheating, emotional abuse, those things are equivalent. So yeah, while we may be able to say on December 22nd, 2019, Ken was caught in a parking lot grabbing booty meat, we may be able to say that. Ken might also be able to pull up a text message from December the 20th, 2019, where Dearra saying, I don't want to be with you no more. It's over. Go do whatever you want to do. You ain't nothing but a da. And now we in a business for real. They are married. They're married by business contract. You can look at this as good as a marriage. Who is this? Rich Roots. Consider it a marriage. Once you enter into a business with somebody, you are legally tied to that person, financially tied to that person. It's up and stuck. Alienation of affection. Perfect. You nailed it. That's what I was looking for. Alienation of affection. Now, I'm not saying Dearra did any of these things because I don't know their business. All we know is what the Shaderoom and Neighborhood Talk post. But, Ken might have some messages. He might have some messages. He might have some voicemails. And when you mad, you don't remember everything you said. You don't. 4 years later, you think Dearra remember every text she ever sent him, every message she ever left, unless she probably don't. You don't know what type of traps people laying for you on the back end. You don't know. And so does she want that business out there for $100,000? Like, I don't know. I personally do not think it's worth it. That's me personally. I don't think $100,000 is a lot of money to Dearra. Based off of the lifestyle that she seems to be living, that's equivalent to normal people. That's probably like $2,500. If you adjust for cost of living, I mean, you really want to do all of this for $2,500 that even if you win in court, even if you win a judgment, you still may never get, because now even though you won the judgment, you got to enforce the judgment. Now Ken could be moving Peter, start putting assets in his business name instead of his personal name. You got a judgment against Ken Walker. You don't got a judgment against 123 LLC, his business, and now he only on payroll. People could get real smart real quick. Like, Listen, you could literally have a judgment against Ken Walker. Ken can form a company called 123 LLC, put himself on payroll, and give himself a salary of $100 a week. And now you garnishing his wages, but you only getting $51 a week for the rest of his life. And this man living a high life because everything's a business expense now. You ain't sue the business, you sue him personally. So yeah, you may win, but are you really going to get this money? And do you really want to cause all these problems? I don't know the motivation. Maybe the motivation is just to humiliate him. I don't know. Maybe the motivation is a principle and she's just like, I'm tick of tired of letting people taking advantage of me. Yeah, Tasha K is a prime example. There you go. Cardi B won that $4 million and she been bobbing, weaving, ducking, dodging, moving, shaking, baby making. She listen, moving assets offshore. People get real smart and real creative when you after their coin. They get real smart and real creative when you after their coin. And all of that came out for what? Here we are years later, and I don't think Tasha paid Cardi $1 even. Maybe she did. I don't know. Also something I'm not following at the current moment, but I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. I would not want my personal business out there for a small amount of money like that. If I could avoid it, right? There's sometimes people get into situations where you just like, my business about to be on the street because I need this money for real. Or I don't have, or like, that's a thing. That could be. It could be, people get into financial binds and people, COVID hit everybody hard. People lost jobs. People had health problems. People almost lost family members. A lot of people fell past due on things during that time. I mean, that's a real thing, so, maybe Ken's going to have to prove that he really didn't have it. And maybe he can prove it because the economy was real bad during COVID time. He could have been like, yo, when DK, and honestly, one of the arguments that DEARRA makes in her lawsuit is an affirmative defense for Ken, in my opinion, which I don't know what I wouldn't have put that. Putting that the breakup caused the brand to suffer is an affirmative defense for Ken, because Ken can literally say, when we broke up, my brand suffered. I wasn't getting any more brand deals. Hence why I didn't have any money. Hence why I needed the money from the account. So I don't know that I would have put that in there, because that's an affirmative defense for him. Like, he could be like, Judge, she said it herself. When we're not together, neither one of us make money. So how was I supposed to survive? And apparently she was doing okay. She started a sunglass line. She's in, this campaign and that campaign. And now he's subpoena her for interrogatories and discovery, because when you sue somebody in open court, you are entitled to interrogatories and discovery. And the interrogatories will have DEARRA. It's basically like a deposition where you got to say, how many brand deals did you get during the time of this date to this date, December 2020 when they broke up, or whatever date, to the filing of this lawsuit, which, let's say December 31st, 2024. DEARRA will sit there and have to answer honestly because she's under oath, and she will have to say 87. I'm making that number up. Ken's gonna go in, same interrogatory, Ken Walker. Between the time of December 20th and December of 2024, how many brand deals have you gotten? Ken could say 4. What? He could, he could say 4. Now, if he goes ahead and says 4, and if he goes ahead and say 4, then now he could say, well, how much did you make? Let's say Ken says $32,000. DEARRA, how much did you make from your brand deal? She was in Fashion Nova. I mean, DEARRA's getting a coin, okay, a cute coin. I don't know for sure, but I think she's getting a cute coin. Imagine she has to go in front of the judge and say 1.2 million. 1.2 million. That's a clear affirmative defense for Ken to say, I was struggling financially. Look at his overhead. Now they say, well, what bills did you have? I got this bill, this bill, this bill, this bill. Once DK4L broke up, I didn't have health insurance, because we had health insurance through our business. When the business ended, I didn't have health insurance. I was over the age of 26 or whatever it was. I couldn't get on my mom's insurance for whatever reason. I had to wait for open enrollment, whatever the situation may be. I had United down my back. I had Cigna down my back. I had Grady Hospital down my back. I had all these people busting my door down for hospital bill money. And I ain't have it. Your boy ain't have it. Look at my little bit of brand deals I got. I ain't have it. I ain't have it. And the judge gonna be like, well, he ain't have it, and he was legally entitled to it because I don't see an operating agreement attached herein as Exhibit B or Exhibit A. I mean, and yes, he got 200 and some odd $1,000, but you got to pay taxes on that income. Both of them do. You don't just take $200,000 from the business account and not pay taxes. And with $200,000, that puts you at the highest tax bracket. You're probably at like a 40% tax bracket at that point. They don't have any deductions. Neither one of them owned a home at the time. They have no Schedule A itemizations. They don't own a home. Neither of them have kids. All they had was the car that was in the business name. What write-offs do they have? So now you got Ken at the highest tax bracket, assuming 35 to 40% tax bracket on $200,000. 40%, that's 80 grand just in taxes. So now you take that 220 and you busting it down to what, 160? Wait, 140. You busting it down to 140. And now you got 140,000 against a lifestyle that he probably was living where he was probably spending somewhere in the neighborhood of, 260 a year, 260,000 a year between the Gucci, the Louis, the Fendi, the high-rise building, the corner, the condo. I mean, really do the math here. Overhead was real high. So I don't know that she gonna get much out of this. I don't know the math. So please, everything I'm saying is alleged. Take it with a grain of salt and wild speculation. It's wild speculation. But it's entertaining. And it's my theory. Currently reviewing operating agreements Exhibit A and B as you speak. You see that on there, Purple Virgo. Is it in the lawsuit? No one said it was in the lawsuit. I didn't go look up the lawsuit myself because I don't be looking at people's business like that. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Whatever I saw is on Royalty Reacts page. She like read through the whole thing, and I don't know how that live came on my feed, but I guess because she was the first person to report on it, and they're very popular, so it got recommended to me. I was in the kitchen cooking. I said, "Oh, let me listen to this. Why Dearra suing Ken?" And she went through the whole thing, and I was sitting there like, everybody like, yeah, Dearra, she gonna get him. And I was just reading. I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna work out for her the way they think it is. I'm a little nervous. I hope so, because I don't believe in taking advantage of people. I don't believe in doing people dirty. I don't believe in misappropriating funds, and I don't believe in any of that. So I believe that Dearra will, I hope that Dearra gets what she justfully do. But at the same time, I want to make sure that we as women, as Black people, as a community, protect ourselves from these type of situations, because these things can and do happen when businesses break up. And it's very hard when you get into a relationship with somebody and you think that, hey, we're making millions of dollars together. We have fans. We have a beautiful life. Like, why break team? And I made a live about this probably like a year ago. I made a live about DEARRA and Ken like a year ago. I think I privated it because I started privating a lot of videos on my channel. But in the live, I was talking about breaking team. Verena, I told you my theory. My theory is I think she's mad. He's trying to start a new couples channel with that girl. I don't know her whole name. I know the channel name is Just Ken, and I skimmed through the video. They had like a couples video together, and he was like, "This is not a couples channel. We're just gonna be doing like challenges, no pranks or something like that." I don't know. I skimmed through it, but he has a new girlfriend. I think they've been together for a while, and he renamed his channel to be the combination of both their names. And I think Dearra's salty about that. I think she's like, how dare you embarrass me, ruin our brand. I'm working mad hard, right? Because Dearra got a real business now, a very successful one, a very lucrative one that I think will make her a legend in history. Because for you to go from absolutely nothing, and turn yourself into a mogul who runs a multi-million-dollar eyewear brand, who's built relationship with manufacturers, who has her own office in downtown Atlanta, who owns her own home built from the ground up. Like, Dearra is up. She way up. And that is a remarkable accomplishment, an absolutely remarkable accomplishment. So I'm like, I think she's still a little salty though. Hold on, guys. My son is crying. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I personally just think that when you're with somebody and things are going well and things are up and you just can't understand for the life of you why that person would break team. That's what I call it. I call it breaking team because there's no reason to break team for you to ruin everything that we built and worked for just behind some female. And I think a little bit, and I hope I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong because I don't know these people. But a little bit of that, I think, is why Dearra's pissed. I think she's always had the option to sue, and she probably, had her family and her background like, you need to sue, you need to take him to court and do this. And she probably was like, no, he gonna get his. It is what it is. I'm not gonna, God gonna take care of him. Because, as women, that's how we be for real. Like, we be like, I'm not gonna block my blessings trying to double back for this fool. Like, I'm not blocking my blessings. He gonna get his karma one way or the other. I think she initially really felt that way. But after seeing him put that video out with that girl and all the positive reception in the comments, people were in the comments. Like, I went to the comment section of the video and they were like, she a much better fit. I like y'all vibe. This vibe check. I mean, people were really making it seem like Dearra was the problem. Like Dearra had a nasty attitude, or they were supporting the girl. And I think that's traumatizing and triggering when you have unhealed trauma inside of you from a relationship that you poured your life into. You have unhealed trauma. You're like, you're not about to take my money and then really move on and embarrass me and like really be trying to make another couple channel. Yeah, go to that video of that girl and Ken and read the comments. Just look at the comments. Like, a lot of people were saying that. And I don't think the people were trying to be funny toward Dearra. I mean, Dearra got a very strong community. People love her. Like, her support is top tier, but sometimes it still hurts. Like, I mean, she loved that boy. Yeah, it could have triggered her. I think it did trigger her, in my opinion. I mean, she loved him. For better or for worse, she loved him. And, when you love somebody real deep, real bad, like you love this person real bad, and they play you like that, and they don't grovel, they don't beg you back, they don't beg you back. Like that, according to the lawsuit, he cheated for that last time and he didn't want to do no more content. He was off her. He told her he was moving out. He was like, I ain't with it. Like, I don't want you no more. And after just proposing to her like months prior, or like in a very short period of time, imagine being a woman and you like, we're finally getting married. We're finally moving forward. He's finally going to stop embarrassing me. We're finally going to have something real. And then all of a sudden he does it again and ain't got the audacity to tell you he leaving? Negro. That's, you be like, Ninja, you gotta be kidding me. You gonna leave me after all I did for you, after I held you down, after I stayed down? You gonna leave me? You gonna break up? You the one walking out? You got to be kidding me. But that's what she wrote in the lawsuit. She wrote in the lawsuit that he wanted to move out. He didn't want none of his stuff. He told her, keep everything. Do you understand what that's like? For you to really, really be loving somebody, really took this dude from Home Depot, according to the lawsuit, allegedly, because all allegations are alleged until proven in the court of law. But allegedly, she got this boy from Home Depot. I was a budding star, and I pulled you from aisle 7 in the nail department, and you quit your job a month after starting the channel with me because we was up. You ain't never had to push no broom, clean up in aisle 4, help a customer find a item, a tool, a utensil. Ain't have to pull no late nights. Ain't have to do no open shift, close shifts. You had to do nothing? And you really gonna play in my face like this? And then want to tell me you leaving? You packing your stuff? I know you lying. She probably wanted to put hands on him. In one of their prank videos, she did put hands on him. I don't know if that was a prank, but I've seen a prank video. It was one of the ones. It's probably going now, but it was one of them prank videos floating around where I think Dearra, Ken said he was leaving. He packed up all his stuff. It was like, I'm leaving. And Dearra started begging him to stay and was like putting hands on him. And it was like, it was a prank. I'm not leaving. I'm just pranking you. And she was like, Ken, why would you do that? She was like crying and everything. Yeah, she was crying and everything. And them pranks, they be pranks and they be real life. She probably really, really loved that boy. For real, for real. And when you love a narcissist, I'm not calling Ken a narcissist, but I'm just going to give this as an example because it's easy to equate. We all understand how narcissists think. I don't know Ken well enough. I did not follow them close enough to know if Ken is a narcissist. So please don't take it that way that I'm calling him one. But when you're dealing with a narcissist, they manipulate you by controlling your emotions. They make you feel out of control and unhinged. And if he knew that that's her trigger point, leaving you is like the worst thing I could do to you, because that prank, that was like the worst thing he could do. She literally lost her cool. Like, I was like, whoa, you good, boo? She was ready. She was fighting him. She was begging him, please put your stuff down. Don't leave. Like, it was intense. And, you know, and he pulled the last trump card, and he knew how to really hurt her. And I think she wants to hurt him back. But in the process, you know, they say when you dig a grave for somebody, dig one for yourself too. Because you can't get your lick back without harming yourself in some way too. And, you know, yeah, she was really crying. You can't get your lick back without harming yourself too. And that's the only thing I want Dearra to weigh. It's not my decision to make. She don't know me from a can of paint. She'll probably never hear this live. But if anybody who knows her happens to come across this live randomly, I would say that you can't dig a ditch for somebody else without digging one for yourself too. And even though I know she feels just in her actions, I know she's coming from a place of just. Sometimes you gotta let God deal with people. Sometimes you gotta let God deal with people for your own sanity. You know, one of the things that Dearra talks about a lot on her channel, because I watch her channel. I support all her videos. The one, you know, I watch them. I really like her channel. One of the things I would say that she talks about a lot is how she gets anxiety, how she suffers from like seasonal depression almost a little bit, and how sometimes she has to step away from social media because it'd be too much. Like, it'd be too much sometimes. And for as positive as Dearra is and how inspirational she is, she knows that she has that weakness. And if you know that you have a weakness around social media, anxiety, stress, people bringing drama to you, this is going to bring a lot of that. A lot of the things you don't really want, according to her sit down chit chat. She's like, yeah, I disappeared for a while because I need to get my mental together. Sometimes I struggle with my mental. She talks about that. She's very transparent about that. Baby girl, this ain't going to be good for your mental, because people going to dig into any and everything that they can find. And people going to take sides eventually, and how things start may not be how things end. And for $100,000, I wouldn't disturb my peace, especially when you got it. Like, regular people, they, you know, that's a lot of money to regular people. Like, whoa, I'm gonna need my 100 bands, 100,000 bands. Run me my money. Listen, run me my money. But for a millionaire, and I would venture to say Dearra's a millionaire. I never seen her bank account, but I'm sure she has a financial advisor. The fact that she had her house built from the ground up, she had to put a down payment. When you're talking about new construction on a home, you're talking about putting 25-30% down. You know, she got it for real. She got it for real. She got it for real. That's all I'm gonna say. And if you got it for real, you don't need it. You do need it because it's yours. And I get that, dear. You need it because it's yours. But like, you don't need it, the problems that's going to come with getting it, is what I'm saying. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Dearra and Ken. Let me see if there was another topic I didn't cover. Protection. Yeah, I think I covered it all. So yeah, hopefully this ends outside of court and all their business don't end up on Front Street, because that wouldn't be too cool. But overall, if you're going to start a business, protect yourself, guys. I hope you got that, if nothing else, from the live. I'll talk to you guys the next time that I go live. Thank you for everybody who stopped in. Farina, Vicky, Doris, Pure, all my peeps. Thank you so much for stopping. Rich Roos, for participating in the chat. Much appreciated. And I'll talk to you guys the next time that I go live. Have a wonderful Friday, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.